I'm excited to welcome back IWI as a sponsor of the Three Gun Show. Longtime listeners will remember IWI in the Three Gun Show's runs at Red October and Kalash Bash with their Galil Ace. Available in 545 by 39, 762 by 39, and 556, the Galil Ace is an absolute dominator at AK matches. IWI has released a Gen 2 of the Ace with tons of upgrades featuring a free float M-lock handguard, an updated trigger profile, shortened safety throw, and it now ships with a Magpul CTR stock with a little cheek riser in there so you can see through your scope. And now IWI has joined the AR-15 game as well. Their Zion 15 is available in both a 12.5 or 16-inch barrel with a 5.56 chamber, and it features a free float handguard in 11.5 or 15 inches respectively. With a mid-length gas system and 1.8 twist, the IWI checks all of the boxes at an incredibly low price. Whether you're looking for a bullpup, traditional rifle, or a pistol, IWI has several options to satisfy your needs. This episode of the Three Gun Show is sponsored by IsoTune Sport. IsoTune Sport makes advanced Bluetooth hearing protection for shooters. My hearing is very important to me for obvious reasons, and I absolutely love how quickly their tactical sound control reacts to cut out loud gunfire. One feature, though, that I never thought I would use on the range is Bluetooth technology, and I'm actually kind of loving it. IsoTune Sport Ear Pro easily connects to my phone, and from there I can listen to some Beastie Boys or Poison or even a podcast to get me in the zone while I'm setting up for practice or zeroing a rifle, something like that. And if I'm caught by surprise by gunfire from the next bay over, I know that my hearing is safe. Lately, I've been rocking the wireless in-ear caliber model because they are lightweight, have a great battery life, and won't get tangled in the buttstock of my long guns. You can check them out for yourself. I'll have a link in the show notes at 3gunshow.com. I'm pumped to be working with IsoTune Sport, and I thank them for sponsoring the show. Welcome to the Three Gun Show. I'm your host, Dave Hartman. This short form podcast is a departure from the weekly long form interviews that we do here. This is meant to be a bite-sized send-off for the weekend where I answer your questions and talk about current events in the shooting space. If you get something useful from this show, pick up your phone right now and share it with a friend or on social media. As usual, show notes are at 3gunshow.com. While you're there, check out the Pro Shop for Three Gun Show apparel, coffee mugs, digital products, and a selection of scopes, red dots, and other shooting accessories. Thanks for tuning in. All right, here we go.
Hey, Max, we got another question from our buddy Brian Duncan here, and that question is favorite optic magnification range?
1 to 20.
1 to 20.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to say the 1 to 10. And specifically on the Vortex Gen 3 Razor 1 to 10. I'm such a huge fan of that optic. I think it's fantastic. Are we allowed to talk about that sniper match? We've talked about that before.
Yep.
Okay. So just checking. Years ago, Amax and I shot a sniper match right after Texas 3-Gun, and we drove all the way to Tennessee K&M. And we competed in a law enforcement military sniper match as the only two civilians in the match, which was really cool. I had a JP 308 that was a loaner from Vortex, and then it had a Razor 4.5 to 17 on it. Did I get that
27.
range right?
27.
No, it was the short one.
Oh, 3 to 18?
3 to 18. There we go. 3 to 18. So it was a Razor 3 to 18. And then Amax had a PWS 308 because we were at least smart enough that we knew that we needed the same caliber as a team. And he had a PWS 308, and it had the prototype Razor Gen 3 1 to 10 on it.
Yep.
And Amax had first round hits, I think 1,200.
Yeah.
First round hits 1,200, and I remember just being pumped. You were like, yes! He did like a post-shot celebration. And we got to demo the optic, look through it, and stuff like that. And I just thought, like, wow, this is absolutely incredible that it's a 1 power and a 10 power. And then when you start thinking about it, I could go on like almost every rifle you have.
Yeah. Well,
right.
At that match specifically, like we were getting so much shit for showing up with that scope at that match with that crowd. So to one shot the longest shot of the match.
Yeah.
Just like all of them, it's like, it was just gratifying,
I don't think we were getting shit. It was just a lot of eye rolling.
Yeah, it was a lot of.
It was like, you should have brought something better.
Yeah,
something bigger. But yeah, so that was pretty cool. But really, like, again, think about it. Like, you can use that on almost every rifle you have. Like, what was your granddad's hunting rifle? It's 3 to 9 power, right?
Yep.
So that falls within the 1 to 10. What's the most common up until recently 3-gun power out there? 1 to 6. Mm-hmm. 10 powers is quite a bit.
Yeah.
Now once you get into that 1100, you're going to want to shoot bigger targets, granted. And then beyond that, if you're shooting like a precision rifle or whatever, obviously you need something bigger. I understand. But for most practical things that you would use as a civilian in everyday rifle using situations, from hunting to self-defense, etc., even 3-gun and competitions, carbine matches, 1 to 10 fits the bill. So that's my answer.
Yeah, I'm pretty similar.
Wait, you already gave your answer.
Huh? Oh, that's right. Coming year 2050. I tend to fall in the same, but for a bit of a different reason. Like if you were to say like outside of a specific product, like if the question is what's your favorite scope? Yeah, it's 1 to 10.
Yeah. Yeah, what's your favorite magnification range is kind of a hard question.
Yeah, so favorite magnification.
Because like, what's
range?
the context, right? Like, is it PRS? Is it NRL hunter? Is it hunting? I just assume that since we saw Brian yesterday at a 3-gun match, that's the context.
Yeah, I'm assuming that in context as well. If we were gonna go to other contexts, the answer might be different. Like for 3-gun, realistically, best range maybe 1 to 6. Honestly. I say this a lot, I prefer the 1 to 10 in every way, but I prefer it because it's a first focal plane scope in our lineup. Mm-hmm. I rarely use the 1 to 10 over 3 or 4 power. Very rarely. Well, even on the really long range stages.
Now that I'm 42, my long distance eyesight has degraded. I can tell because I used to be able to, like that exit sign up there, I used to be able to read that.
I can't read that either. I'm 35, so
I know, but I used to be able to. Is what I'm saying. Like so that was an advantage for me, and now I need a mechanical advantage, which would be the Razor. Yep. So I also would agree. Like rarely do I use it on 10, but I do use 8 quite a bit.
Yeah. So
I also like that I can just grab the scope and give me some magnification that makes me happy, and it's the same point of aim, point of impact because of first focal plane.
Yes. Yep, that's what I prefer. And so given the choice between a power range and focal plane, I choose focal plane. What you're giving up in the magnification is field of view. So when I say that I rarely use it over 4 power, it's not because I'm trying to be a badass. It's because I want field of view. I'm selecting a power that makes it easier for me to find the other target. I can either see the other target in my field of view, so I don't have to come out of the scope, or I don't have to move very far before it's in my field of view, and I can track on it easier. That's why I'm doing it. So I'm picking some compromise between field of view and seeing the line on the reticle that I need to see. 10 power is very handy for sighting in, for getting a very precise zero.
Yes.
So in a world where like this scope is married to this gun forever, and so we have to think of the whole utility behind it, 10 power is very handy for zeroing, but I rarely use 10 power in a match.
Right.
And then the other cool thing about if you have a scope like a 10, but you're not really using it on 10, that optical system isn't maxed out all the way. So you have some forgiveness in the eye box. One of the things like people say when they're trying to do apples to apples on various scopes and they compare our 1 to 10 to one of our other 1 to 6s or somebody else's 1 to 6, 1 to 8, eye box is not forgiving. Well, they're probably looking at it max magnification for max magnification.
Yep.
Well, the scope is most sensitive at that area, and a 10 is going to be more sensitive than an 8 maxed out. But if you put that 10 on 6 and then compare them, you're going to get some more forgiveness in the eye box. You're also going to get some more light transmission through there.
Yep.
So you having more scope than you need so you can work in the median is some of the thought around using a 10 power scope. So if you're just conceptually asking me, like, what power ranges are you really using? Yeah, probably 1 to 6, 1 to 4. As far as, like, commercially available products, that's why I choose a 1 to 10.
Yeah, what you said there about, like, not using the full range of the scope, Ruben actually taught me that years ago when we went shooting at the Vortex farm with the Vortex Viper PST 5 to 20. Holy crap. Sorry, we almost saw an accident. And that was my reaction. What were we talking about? Oh,
the 5 to 20. Also, holy
5
crap.
to 25. Sorry. the Vortex Viper PST Gen 2 5 to 25.
Yep.
Was what it had. It was on a Tika, a T3. I think it was a T3X. It was the one with the chassis.
Yep. They used a ton of those.
Yeah, and that T3 was like, it was the first time I'd ever seen one. They had just come out.
Yep.
And it was 6.5 Creedmoor. That thing was amazing. So Rube was teaching me to shoot long range, to trust the dope and stuff like that. So I needed some help, and he offered to help. And so we shot from, that was when we did the 147-yard zero.
Yeah.
So we parked the truck, and we...
Are you going to link that episode?
Yeah. Go check out the episode that Rube Amax and I did for the 147-yard zero. It was
around April 1st.
It was the perfect zero, released it on April 1st. So it was obviously an April Fool's joke. It was just a good time. But we literally did zero the gun at 147 yards because that was the first steel that was out there. And then with known velocity out of that particular gun with that particular load and then changing the zero, we were getting first round hits at 1,000 yards. But I learned that zooming in too tight on a target when it was in the shade, I was missing half of what was out there to look at because I had it on 25. Because I figured, like, we're shooting 1,000 yards.
Yep.
I need to zoom all the way in.
Twist to the stop.
Yep. Twist till it breaks. So Ruben told me, back it off to say, like, where you can still see the target, and you're not straining, but you're not zoomed in on it. So that for me at the time was 10 power, and it was like a full-size Ipsic.
Yeah.
So shot it on 10 power. Dang, perfect.
Yep.
So
Well,
that was an eye-opener for me because as a 3-gunner shooting second focal plane, it's always like I used the scope as a switch. 1 power or 6 power. 1 power or 6 power.
Yep. And I had a similar experience like when they were initially talking about the Gen 3 6 to 36 coming out. Like the PRS guys around the office, like 6 to 36, bro, 6 to 36, and I was like, can you explain it to me? Because I don't get it. I did the hardest shot in your sport with a 1 to 10. So why would somebody buy that? And they're like, oh no, you don't understand. And I was like, yeah. And I was like, so what powers are you using? And that's kind of what they said is like vast majority of the shots, they're in the teens. But it's the other characteristics of the scope that make it that way, that gives it the characteristics they want when they're using it in that magnification range. So having the max magnification has its uses, but it's very limited uses. They want more the meat of the power band. I can't help it. I'm just got motors on the brain these days. But, it kind of in the power band of that scope is more in the middle, not necessarily at the stops. So.
All right, there you go.
Want me to answer your question? Or maybe this podcast left you with more questions than you started with? Go ahead, email me, dave@3gunshow.com, and you might be featured in a future episode. The Three Gun Show is proud to be a part of the Firearms Radio Network. Thanks for listening to The Three Gun Show. We'll see you on the range.